Boker Tov, Masechet Kiddushin Daf Amud Aleph 78a1. We were just speaking about the entire concept that Rashi comes and he says, Hilkach, therefore, a regular Kohen, Habala Choto, that has relations with his sister, okay, and that she's a Pnuya, Zona Mashvala, he makes her into a Zona, right? Halala lo Mashvila. He does not make her into a Halala. So he makes her into a Zona, not a Halala. So Chazaru Ba'aliyah, if he has relations with her a second time around, so then Asa Halala. So then he's going to make her into a Halala. So that's very important just to understand. So the first time he makes her into Zona, second time he makes her into a Halala. Amar Rav Yehuda, says Rav Yehuda, Kohen Gadol be'almana, when we're talking about now Kohen Gadol, right? That goes with an almana, Lokesh time. He gets two different malkut. Achat mishum lo yikach, right? One because of lo yikach, v'achat mishum lo yichalel, and one because of lo yichalel. Yeah? So he has two different ones. Lo yikach and lo yichalel. So ask the Gemara, Velil kenami, why don't you get also malkut because of lo yichalel zaro, which means that you should not come and desecrate his children, which means, why did you just tell me now that the Kohen Gadol gets two sets of lashes? One of them because of the Kiddushin, and one of them because of lo yichalel, right? Meaning that you're being mechalel otah. You also have lo yichalel zaro, his own children. So you should get three sets of lashes, not only just one set of lashes. So says the Gemara, the shelo gamar biyato. He didn't finish his biyah. So since he didn't finish the biyah, which means that he did not be mazriya, right? He didn't take out the semen. So therefore, since he only did hara, which is the first step of the relations, so therefore he was not mechalel zaro because there's no zera. There's nothing there, right? What does that mean? If there's no zera, there's nothing happening. So therefore, obviously, what's going to happen is he's only mechalel otah. That's why there's only going to be two lashes and not three sets of lashes. Okay? So Mativ Rava. Rava comes and he asks the following question. Almana u'grusha lokem mishum shnei shemot. Do you know that a Kohen Gadol that has relations with a woman, right? So therefore, he comes and he says, Almana u'grusha, you're going to get al malkut because of two different isurim. What are the two different isurim? He comes and he says the two different isurim is, what exactly are there? My lover, we're not talking about shnei shemot betulo, only two and not more. Meaning like this. The Braita comes and it says, Almana u'grusha, it's mashma that Almana u'grusha is going to be two different shemot. And it cannot be more. So why are you telling me now, right, that one of them is because of Almana, one of them is because of grusha? Now, according to you, it should be four. Right? Because why? Two on each one, which is basically the Kiddushin, and one on the Bi'ila in itself. Right? Which means on the actual relations. Okay? So that's the question. So answers Gemara, no. Shnei shemot al zeh, the shnei shemot al zeh. When it says two names, it didn't mean two names. It was two on this and two on that. It was two and two. So therefore, since it's going to be two and two, so therefore it's going to be two on the almana and two on the grusha. So we thought it was two. One for almana, one for grusha. Now we're saying, no. Two is two and two. Two for the almana, two for grusha. Every one you have for the kiddushin and for the biyah. Okay? So says the Gemara, Yihachi, if so, right? Ima Seifa, let's see the Seifa. The Seifa says that if it's going to be a grusha v'chalutza, eno chayav ela achat. If it's going to be a grusha v'chalutza, it's only going to be on one. What does that mean it's only going to be on one? So he comes and he says like this. He comes and he says like this. He says, if you're going to tell me that, let's see the Seifa. The Seifa says, grusha v'chalutza, you're only going to be chayav one. Why one? How do you answer that one up? Before, I had a case of Almana Grusha. Almana Grusha, I said the Kohen is going to be Chayav Shtein. We asked, why Shtein? It should be more. Because even on the Biyah also, not only just the Kiddushin, you have the Kiddushin, which is Lo Yikach, and then you have the Biyah, which is Lo Yichalel. Right? You're making her into a Halala. You're making her a Halala. You're disqualifying her. So the Gemara answered, no. It's two and two. Meaning, two for the Grusha, two for the Almana. Every one of them, you have the Kiddushin and the Biyah. So therefore, it's two and two. But now, if I'm going to come and say the Seifa, the Grusha v'chalutza, you're only going to have one. Why one? It should be two. One for the Kiddushin and one for the Biyah. So answers the Gemara, Hachi Kamar. This is what it means to say. Eno chayav ela lachat really, be'emet, you're only going to be chayav on one of them, which is basically the grusha, but not on the chalutza, because isur of the chalutza to a kohen is only midrabanan. Uleolam shne shemot. But really, be'emet, you get two different type of lashes, one for the kiddushin, right, and one for the biyah, which is going to be the chalel. Meaning, when we said one, we weren't being lapuke that it's one and not two because of the kiddushin and the biyah. You still get because of the kiddushin and biyah. That's going to be two. It means one and not two because you don't get on the chalutza. You only get on the grusha. You don't get on the chalutza. Now, why? Says the Gemara, chalutza midrabanan. Are you going to tell me that a chalutza is the rabbanan? Vatanya, we learned in the Braita, right? Isha gerusha mi isha lo yikachu. Enli ela grusha. That's only by a grusha. Chalutza minayin. Meaning like this: if somebody's going to ask you, where's it written in the Torah that a kohen cannot get married to a chalutza? And the answer is going to be, it's not written in the Torah. Why? It says in the pasuk, Isha gerusha mi isha lo yikachu. It only says gerusha. So chalutza minayin, Talmud lomar, ve isha gerusha mi isha lo yikachu. Havav. The extra vav is coming, is mutar, is coming to teach you that a chalutza is a surah to the kohen. So therefore, how are you telling me it's midrabanan? It's udoraita. You're learning it from the vav. Answers the Gemara, really be'emet, it's midrabanan. Ukra asmachta ba'almahu. This we do many times, which means it could be something which is an isur d'Rabbanan, but we come and we say, you know what? The rabbis came and they said that this is a isur. So it's a isur for a kohen to get married to a chalutza. Where do you see such a thing? Right? Where do you see such a thing? So the rabbis come and they say, right, that they want to put it, that it's connected, right, to the Torah. What does it mean connected to the Torah? It should be connected, that there's some type of a remez in the Torah, that's what the Torah wanted from the beginning. So therefore they do it, it's a Rabbanan, but the Kra is an asmachta. An asmachta means that we come and we say that keilu, that, how do you call this? That it's keilu, that we're bringing it close to it. That this is like more or less what we had intended, even though it's not Duraita. Meaning I cannot say that because of that extra vav, that's mina Torah, right? But it's a Rabbanan. But the Kra asmachta be'almahu, I wanted to put it as a remez. Okay, fine. Amar Abaye. Abaye now comes and he says, Kidesh, if right now a Kohen Idiot comes and is Mekadesh a woman, right, that's psula to him. So we already mentioned whether it's a grusha, whether it's a chulutza, or whatever it is, loke, he gets one lashes, right? For what? For the Kiddushin. So he did the Kiddushin, already gets lashes. Baal, right, when he has the relations, loke, he's going to get another set of lashes. Kidesh, loke, mishum lo yikach. The Kiddushin, you get lashes because of lo yikach ish, right? That means a person did not come and take a woman that's pasul to him, right? Lo yikadesh uta. And Baal, he's going to be lokeh because of lo yicholel uta. He cannot come and he's desecrating her, as we already explained before. That since he's coming and he's desecrating her, so therefore it's going to become a problem. He should not desecrate her. So the fact that he's desecrating her, that's it. Fine. Okay. Rabba argues, and Rabba argues and he says Baal lokeh, lo Baal. Enoloke. Says no. Only if he has relations, he gets the relations. He gets the lashes. If he didn't have the relations, he doesn't get lashes at all. Meaning, one more time, there was one lashes for kiddushin, lo yikach. One lashes for the relations, the be'ilah. Why? Lo yichalel. He's being mechalel ota. No. Once. Now what happens is that when it says over here, right, ba'al loke, lo ba'al loke. Here it's teaching you that if there was no relations, there's no lashes at all. At all. Why? Mishum dichtiv, but it says in the pasuk, lo yikach velo yichalel. Ma ta'am lo yikach, mishum lo yichalel. Meaning, why are you not allowed to get married to her? Because you're going to be mechalel ota. So therefore, if you're not going to be mechalel ota, which means that you're going to have relations with her, there's no isur. So therefore, he comes and he says, lo yikach, because of lo yichalel. And therefore, if you're not mechalel, so therefore, there's no yisur of lo yikach, and therefore, if you do not come and have the relations, there's no lashes whatsoever. Okay, fine. Umode Abaye. So Abaye comes and he agrees, though, b'machzir grushato, that if he's going to be machzir grushato, which means somebody that's going to come and take the grusha after he was married to another person, right? That the Torah says lo yuchal ba'ala rishon shishachal shum lekachda lo isha shin kidesh velo baal sheno lokeh. If he does kiddushin, he does not get the lashes if he did not have the beila. It has to be that he's taking her to be his wife, meaning just taking her back to marry her, but not being a wife, and being a wife means the relations, right, in the marriage, that's nothing. This, by the way, just shows you how important the relations is in the marriage. Because you could have people that are living together in the same house, they could have even share the same last name, they could have whatever you want, but there's nothing there. There's no marriage. The marriage has to be liot lo liisha, which means there has to be a union, right? There has to be a union to become the bonding between them. And if there's not going to be bonding between them, there's nothing, which is something incredible, just to show you the musar, right, of what the Torah is teaching you. But, Vadai, 100%, midoraita. So, but what we're trying to say now here is what the Torah is saying is that even Abaye is going to admit that by machzir grushato, there's no lashes if there was no bia. No lashes. No lashes. Now remember, what was the case? The case is a regular Israel divorces his wife. Is he allowed to get married to her again or not? It's a mitzvah. Not only can, it's a mitzvah. Yeah, there's machzir grushato is a mitzvah. However, though, says the doctor that what? That if she goes to another man, now it's a sur. So let's say this man comes and he took, right? He comes and he took her back after going with the other man. So that's the case here. He took her back after going with the other man. So technically speaking, it's a sur. Says Abaye, if there's no bia, there's no makot.
But what if he doesn't know that?
What do you mean he doesn't know? How she?
No relation. Marriage.
Ushnehem, right? Sorry. So the first case was that Abaye is modeh that by machzir grushato, as long as there's no bia, there's no lashes. Umode Rava. Now Rava is going to be the flip, the other side around. Rava is going to admit bekohen gadol be'almana, by a kohen gadol to an almana, she'im ba'al velo kiddush. What about the opposite? A kohen gadol had the relations, but he did not do the kiddushin. He's going to get lashes. Why? Velo yechalel zaro be'amav manachman avayrechilen. Even without marriage,
He doesn't get demoted. He remains Kohen Gadol.
yes, but he gets lashes because of what he did. Okay? So now says the Gemara, at the end of the day, he was mechalel, right? Well, it's going to be the children. Yeah? Ushnehem modim. Now both of them admit b'machzir grushato, to do with machzir grushato, she'im ba'al velo kidesh she'eno lokeh. That if he was going to be ba'al and not do kiddushin, he's not going to be lokeh. He's not going to get lashes. So one more time. Which one? One more time. Abaye ve'Rava are modim by Yisure Kiuna that if he had relations and not kiddushin, he still gets the lashes. Right? Now, since it's like that, I would have thought to say the same halacha applies in ba'al velo kidesh lokeh gamken. The Gemara says no. Ushneim modim b'machzir grushato she'im ba'al velo kidesh eno lokeh derech likuchin asra Torah. That's what Ronen asked before. Meaning the Torah only prohibited a likuchin. Likuchin means taking as a wife. Lo yuchal ba'ala harishon lashub lekachta liot lo leisha. When it says to be for him as a wife, and therefore since it has to do with kiddushin, if there was only bi'ah, they do not get lashes.
So you can go have fun with her. Nothing happens.
No,
Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, Bat ger zachar kebat halal. The daughter of a ger zachar is like the daughter of a halal zachar. And therefore we said is going to be psula to the kohen. Okay, so one more time. The daughter of a male convert is like the daughter of a halal zachar. Okay, and therefore she cannot get married to a kohen. So Tanya, this was a shita of Rabbi Yehuda. You remember there are three opinions in the Mishnah. We had the left, center, and right. Right? The right was completely matir. The center was in the middle, Rabbi Eliezer, and then it was the left was Rabbi Yehuda. So that's what we're doing now. So Rabbi Yehuda says, Tanya, we learned in the right. Rabbi Yehuda says, Bat ger zachar, the daughter of a ger zachar, is like a bat halal zachar. The adin noten, and it's going to be a kal v'chomer. Right? Remember when it says vadin noten, and the judgment is giving it, it means that it's a kal v'chomer. What's the kal v'chomer? Uma halal sheba mitipa kshera. The halal is coming from a tipa kshera because the father is kosher, and still the daughter is psula, bito psula. Get that he came from a tipa psula, eno din shebito psula. For sure, should be bito psula. You understand? He says, 1 second, I don't understand. He says here, right? You have a kohen. A kohen has relations, let's say, with a grusha. Was the kohen 100% Jewish? Yes. Was it tipa kshera? Yes. The only problem is it was a technical issue. What was the technical issue? He went with somebody pasuta, so it becomes a halal. Okay, fine. But 1 second. But a ger comes from a tipa psula. So if a ger comes from a tipa psula, so kal v'chomer should come and should disqualify the daughter that she cannot come and how do you call this? And be kosher for kiuna. So answers the Gemara, male halal sheken yitzirato ba'avera. Says no, 1 second. But I could disprove the kal v'chomer. Remember, whenever I come and I say about a kal v'chomer, I could disprove the kal v'chomer. What's the disproving of the kal v'chomer? The disproving. Yeah, he comes and he says like this. The disproving of the kal v'chomer is when you have the kohen go with a woman that's basulo, there was a forbidden relationship. When the ger, there's no forbidden relationship. The ger, misken, he converted. He comes with a regular Jewish woman. There's no forbidden relationship. So what are you coming and making a kal v'chomer? No, he comes. But there was no forbidden relationships. When you do something asur, that's when you should get the slap, not just stam. Let's see. Okay, so says the Gemara, so says the Gemara, fine. Kohen Gadol yochiach. What's a Kohen Gadol be'almana yochiach? The Kohen Gadol, in the case of a Kohen Gadol that has relations with an almana, that's going to be mochiach that there's no psul in the daughter that has to do with the avera of the father. Share'en yetzirato ba'avera, because the Kohen Gadol himself did not come from an avera, and still his daughter is psula to the kiuna. Which means, since Heyot Yitzirato Ba'avera is not kovea nothing to do with the kashrut of the daughter of the Kohen to Kiuna. So then again, we have a kal v'chomer. Meaning like this, when the Kohen Gadol, right, goes with an almana, right? A Kohen Gadol goes with an almana. So now what happens to the child? The child is a halala, right? So now if this daughter is a halala, the Kohen Gadol, right? Was he coming from a tipa kshera?
Yes.
He was 100% kasher. And yetzirato ba'avera, right? The yetzira of the Kohen Gadol was not ba'avera, right? It was just the Kohen Gadol with almana, but not him. So there, and still the daughter is psula. So says the Gemara, fine. Mala Kohen Gadol ba'almana shekem bi'ato ba'avera. You're right. His yetzira was not ba'avera. But he did an avera. He did an avera with almana. He went with almana. Meaning the way that the Kohen Gadol was formed was not with an avera. He was kosher. He's not halal. Everything was kosher. But when he did the avera with the almana, that's the avera. So he comes and he says, fine, but halal yochiach. What's the halal yochiach? That the psul of the bat, right, is not talui b'biyat ha'av ba'avera, because the halal em biyato ba'avera. Why? He's mutar b'bat Yisrael, and still the daughter of a halal is psula lekiuna. Meaning like this: you had a kohen to a grusha. The child is a halal. Can that halal get married to a regular bat Yisrael?
Yeah.
Yes, no problem, 100%. That means his biyah is asura. So biyah asura. Now, when he has a child, that let's say that boy, he's still a halal. Now there was no, but you're right. But there was no, but that's not our subject now. But there's no. 1 second. This child is a halal. His parents, they do an avera. His parents do an avera. The father was a halal. With the regular bat Israel, he's a halal. There was no avera. The avera was the grandfather, wasn't the father. So there was no biyav asura to prohibit the halal, meaning that the child is halal. So therefore he comes and he says, Chazar adin, I'm going to come and I'm going to make a binyan av. Lo reizeh kereizeh, right? Ve'atzad hasheva shebahen she'enam berov ha'kahal, af ani avi et hager she'eno berov ha'kahal, ubito psula, which means like this. One more time. There's something which is called a kal v'chomer. What's a kal v'chomer? If I could right now carry 20 pounds, so I could carry 10. Kal v'chomer. Nachon? Kal from the chomer. Something 10 pounds, which is lighter, I could carry, if I could carry the chamur, which is 20 pounds. If I could carry 20 pounds, I could carry 10. Kal v'chomer. The way to disprove a kal v'chomer is when I say, no. But what you just told me now is incorrect because there's the chumrah on the other side. So therefore, I disprove that kal v'chomer. So we started with a kal v'chomer. Our case. Right?
Disprove it.
We just said it. Right? One more time. We just said a bat ger zachar, right? A bat ger zachar. Remember, that means you have a convert. He goes with the regular bat Israel. That daughter is prohibited to the kiuna, according to Shtat Rabbi Yehuda. Bat ger zachar is like a halala, and therefore she cannot get married to a kohen. Says the Gemara, I learned it from a kal v'chomer. What's a kal v'chomer? If right now a halal comes from a tipak shera, and the daughter is going to be pasul, so kal v'chomer that this goy comes from a tipa psula, that the daughter should be pasul. That's a kal v'chomer. I disprove the kal v'chomer. Why do I disprove the kal v'chomer? We say that there was an avera involved. What was the avera? Meaning, by the ger to a bat Yisrael, there was no avera. But by the kohen to a grusha or chalutza, whatever it is, there's an avera. So therefore, what are you telling me and making kal v'chomer? If this one is coming from tipak shera and still it's pasul to kiuna, kal v'chomer, this one's coming from tipa psula, because it was the goy at the beginning, that it should be psula. I said, what are you talking about? One of them did an avera, one of them didn't do avera. You do an avera, you get a smack in the face. You didn't do avera, what did you do wrong? You didn't do anything because of where you came from. What did you do wrong? So therefore, the Gemara disproves the kal v'chomer. So the Gemara says, fine, go the other way around. Kohen Gadol to an almana. Why? The Kohen Gadol, did he become, right? Did he become a Kohen Gadol? He was not pasul, right? He was 100% kosher. It's just the daughter. So he comes and he says his coming from, right, was biato, right? His not biato, his tipa that he came from was kasher. Everything was kasher, but he's still pasul. Why is he pasul? The Gemara answers, no, but you can't get me from a Kohen Gadol. Why? Because the Kohen Gadol, the biyah was ba'avera. Meaning, even though he came from kasher and everything that you want, but it's the biyah which prohibits. And once over, so it says the Gemara, what about a halal? No? What's a halal? A halal gets married to a regular bat Israel. Is he allowed to?
Yeah.
Yes, he's allowed to get married to a regular bat Israel. So now, if he's allowed to get married to a regular bat Israel, right? One more time, a halal is allowed to get married to a regular bat Israel. What happens to the child? Halal.
You call it the ben.
Yes. Again, we're only talking about
אבא שלו.
Very good. The halalim neolam. So the question is, was there a biyah surah there?
No.
פשוט פסל
So
את
the
הכהונה.
Gemara says, so therefore what we do is what's called a tzad hashaveh, meaning like this. I cannot learn bat ger zachar only from how do you call this? From a bat halal zachar. And I cannot learn it from a Kohen Gadol either to an almanah. But I put them all together. I put them all in the same, and I come and I say, there's a tzad hashaveh bahen. There's a common denominator. Right? In math, right? Lavdila lefavdalot, I want to come and I want to do 1/8 plus 2/6. You cannot add them together because the denominators are not equal. The first thing that I have to do is I have to make them both 8, right? Or both common. So both 8. So you can make 8, so it'll be 16, it'll be 24, whatever it is, that I can make them common. Once they're the same denominator, now I come in and say, now you could come and you could add everything up. The exact same thing, Lavdila lefavdalot, is what we're trying to do here. I cannot learn from bat ger zachar, I cannot learn from bat halal zachar. It doesn't work. I cannot learn, right? Why? Because even though I just said that one of them comes from tipak shera, one of them tipak psula, he says, what about yitzirato ba'avera? He says there was an avera involved. Here there was no avera. So then I said, okay, fine. Kohen Gadol, there was no yitzirato ba'avera. But then we answered, Kohen Gadol, you can't learn from either. Why? Because the biyah was ba'avera, right? And therefore, if the biyah was ba'avera, that's also going to be another problem. So then it says, Gemara, we'll put them both together. Put Kohen Gadol to almanah and put the case of the bat halal zachar together. What's the common denominator? Lo re'izeh kere'izeh. Each one has a chumrah and a kula. Each one has a stringency and a leniency. That was what we tried to disprove with the kal v'chomer. But there's a tzad hashaveh shebein. There's a common denominator. What's the common denominator? Each one of them, right? Enam berov hakal. To each one of them, they cannot get married to the majority of the kahal, which means a halal, which is yitzirato ba'avera, or a kohen gadol ba'almana, that his bi'ah is ba'avera, right? And therefore he says, "Benotehem psulo lekuna, afani avi et hager." So too I'm going to bring in the ger she'eno berova kahal, that he cannot get married to the majority of the kahal, right? Because since he was nolam tipa psula, he cannot get married to the majority of the kahal, and therefore pito psula lekuna. right? It should be bito psula lekeuna, which means that the tzad shaveh is that after I cannot learn from one kal v'chomer and another kal v'chomer, I put them together and I say there's a common denominator between them. The common denominator is they're not mutarim berov hakahal, po oto davar, right? They're not mutarim berov hakahal. So now the Gemara is going to say, I could also disprove a tzad shaveh as well. Meaning, you just came and you said, I cannot learn from A, because I just disproved it. I cannot learn from B, I just disproved it. Put them together, and I'm going to learn from both of them. It means even though each one has its own differences, but together there's a common denominator. If I push off the common denominator, again, the entire thing falls. So says the Gemara, at the end of the day, there was an avera involved. Whether it was yitzirato ba'avera or biato ba'avera, but there's an avera. So therefore, these two, there's an avera involved. How can I compare that to the ger that misken? There was no avera done. You're right. He comes from tipa psula. Fine. You're right. A ger comes from a tipa psula, right? And by the way, this tipa psula does not even mean just that. You know, because even if a Jew goes with a non-Jew, right, that's tipa psula, because at the end of the day, the child's a goy, right? So here we're talking about 100% a ger tzedek, that he goes with a regular bat Israel and then they have a child. And that child is calling that it's coming from tipa psula. But still, he says, but there was no avera done. The other two cases, it was not avera. Says the Gemara, lo teima. So don't tell me then in the cases, kohen gadol b'almana yochiach, ela ima mitzri rishon yochiach. We're talking about a mitzri rishon that got married to a mitzrit, which is also dor rishon. Now the psul of the bat, right, is not talui, but to do with the avera, because mitzri rishon and yitzirato ba'avera, and still his daughter is pasul to the kiuna. So you're right. Now what I'm doing is I'm substituting. At the top, I had almanatu kohen gadol, and I had bat halal zachar, and then I wanted to learn from there the bat ger zachar. I'm coming to say you're right. Take away the almanatu kohen gadol. What am I going to put instead of that? I'm going to put instead of that the mitzri rishon that gets married to a mitzrit rishona, and the child is going to be right a mitzri shnia. She's also psula lekuna, and even though there was no yitzirato ba'avera, there was no avera done. A mitzri rishon is allowed to get married to a mitzri rishona. There's no isur. Okay, fine. So the child becomes a mitzri sheni. There's no isurim involved. And still, what do you see? You still see that what? That it's going to be a proof that it's going to be pasul to the kiuna. So says the Gemara, 1 second. He says, but 1 second. But even the mitzri rishon, he's not allowed to get married to anybody, and that's why his daughter is pasul to kiuna. But again, it's permitted to get married to everybody. Meaning, what are you telling me now that you're trying to bring me up to, right? There's the disproof. Meaning, the disproof is you're telling me now mitzri rishon to mitzri rishona. Says 1 second. Mitzri rishon is not allowed to get married to anybody. He says again, it's allowed to get married to anybody, right? So for what are you comparing them? Right? So says the Gemara, halal yochiach. Go back to the halal. What's the halal? Remember that the halal that goes with the bat Israel, right? There's no psul in the psul in the bat. Has nothing to do with the heter of the father going to the kal, because halal is mutalavu bakal, but still the daughter is psula lekiuna. The chazar adin, and therefore we're going to come and say that's chazar adin. What is chazar adin? Right, chazar adin means that how do you call this? That it's going to become again a tzad shaveh. It's going to be a binyan av. Lo reizeh k'reizeh, right? But tzad shaveh. What is tzad shaveh? She'en berov kal. That they cannot come and get married to the rovakal, which means a halal, which is done by an avera, or mitzri rishon, which is a suit to get married to Israelite, and the daughter of one of these people are going to be psula to the kuna. Afaniyavi, so I'm going to bring the ger that he cannot get married to the majority of the kihila because he's nolamit psula, and therefore he comes and he says that the daughter is going to be psula. So ask the Gemara again. I'm going to try to disprove the common denominator. He says, when these people have relations, they are posel with biyah, which means, right now, for example, this, whether it's talking about a mitzri rishon, whether we're talking about right now the halal, they are posel through their relations. When a ger comes and has relations with a woman, he doesn't make her pasul. If he's a boy, yes. But if he's a ger, he doesn't make her pasul. Meaning, let's say right now a ger goes and he has relations with a regular Jewish woman. They're not married. Nobody's married. Nobody's nothing. Right? No, there's no children. No. He doesn't posel ota. No. Right? Why? Ulo posel bebiyah. He's not a goy. He's a ger. He's not posel bebiyah. The halal is posel. Right? The mitzri is posel. So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, and again, Nami posel b'yato. According to Shtat Rabbi Yehuda, how does he come? No. 1 second. He comes and he says, right? It's not 100% true. He comes and he says, Bati Sela nivele lechalal olge mitzi psula lekeuna. Look in Rashi. Right? He comes and he says, Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, right? He's allowed to get married to her, right? But once he gets married to her, she's never allowed to get married to a Kohen afterwards. Well, anyway, she would have been and become no, because that's how she becomes a lamana. Exactly. That's why. That's proof that who posel אותה.
כן, לכהונה, אבל הוא לא פה. אוקיי, בסדר.
כהונה, that's what we're talking about. כהונה. Yeah? Rabbi Yehuda, but according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, ger nami posel bebiyato. You know why he can make this tzad hashave? Because according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, a ger also disqualifies with his biyah. Meaning, according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, if a ger comes and he has relations with the regular Bat Yisrael, it's like a goy having relations with the Bat Yisrael, and therefore she's not allowed to marry to a Kohen. That's the Shitat of Rabbi Yehuda. Umaitila, and he brought it. He learns it from this. That's where he's learning it from. Okay, fine. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov comes and he says, Ger shenasa bat Yisrael. So we finished until there. Yeah. So one more time. That means this entire Gemara of Rabbi Yehuda was because Rabbi Yehuda goes to Shitato that since a ger is going to be posel bebiyah, so therefore the tzad hashav, everything makes sense here. That it's good that the halal is going to be posel bebiyah and the mitzvah sheni is going to be posel mitzvah rishon and kule. Fine. Now we go to the middle ground. The middle ground was Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, Ger shenasa bat Yisrael, the daughter is going to be kasher lekuna. But Ger shenasa gioret, the daughter is psula lekuna. So remember, according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, it was like a pshara. What was a pshara? It was a middle ground that as long as one of the parents are Jewish, it's okay. That was the shita of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Okay? According to Rabbi Yehuda, the second that it's a daughter of a male zachar, kaddish. According to Rabbi Yosef, it's going to be the other extreme. But according to the middle ground, what's the middle ground? One of them is going to be Jewish, it's okay. She's not going to be psula to the kiuna. So says the Gemara Tanya, we learned to them right. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says, Gioret pechuta, bibat shalosh shanim yom echad. When you have a gioret which is going to be less than 3 years and 1 day. I already mentioned this a few times already. Kshera la kiuna. She's going to be kosher to kehuna. Okay? So now says the Gemara, right? Shneimar, but it says in the pasuk, v'chol hataf panashim hachayu lachem. He says, all the children from the women, you don't kill them. Right? What does that mean? Which means that they're less than 3 years old in one day, you don't kill them. Right? Don't kill them. Why? You guys can get married to them after them. Now says the Gemara, Valo Pinchas. Pinchas is a Kohen. He was with them. So it's a mikra mefurash that a woman that converts, as long as she's going to be less than 3 years old in one day, she's allowed to get married to, even to the kiuna. So, right? So says the Gemara, but according to Shitat Rabbanan, according to the rabbis, how do they explain this pasuk hachayu lachem? Hachayu lachem la'avadim v'lishfachot. It says, no, let them live to be your slaves. Not that you should get married to them. Let them live to be your slaves. Right? And that's it. So says the Gemara, right? Why is that mesukan? Everybody had slaves. Everybody used to have slaves. There could always be mesukan, but that's even nowadays. How many people they go with their cleaners? I've had stories come to me, and it's not from Gibraltar. It's Gibraltar. They don't have livings.
Rabbi, all these discussions prove us something that we cannot take a rule of thumb.
So the kulam mikra echad arshu, meaning this machloket between Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Rabbanan, they both learn it from the same pasuk. It says, "Almana u'grusha lo yichul lahem lenashim." So it says, Almana u'grusha, they cannot take for themselves as wives, but only betulo mizera bet Yisrael. So now the machloket is, what does it mean mizera bet Yisrael? Rabbi Yehuda comes and he explains, ad de'it kol zera Yisrael, until the entire zera, which means the ikar v'shoresh zera mimenu norda has to be from Yisrael, and therefore the pasuk is teaching you that bat ger zachar tzula lekuna, aval bat yorem Yisrael kshera. Why? Because lo ikpida katuv el ikar zera, which is the av. The av is the Yikar Zera. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov comes and he says, no, mizera, afilu miktzat zera. Mizera means even from a little bit of the zera. And therefore, since even a little bit of the zera comes from the woman, and therefore, as long as one of them is kosher, one of them is kosher. Rabbi Yosef Savar, mishen izreu b'Yisrael. As long as the pregnancy was done b'Yisrael, which means as long as the father and mother, both of them were converted before the pregnancy, so they're kosher to kiuna. So you have the three-way machloket. One more time. Our Mishnah had a three-way machloket. Rabbi Yehuda, that was very machmid. Rabbi Eliezer in the middle. and Rabbi Yosef, right, on the other extreme, they come and they say there's a machlok between them. Is the bat ger zachar kosher for kiuna or not? They all learn it from the exact same pasuk. When it says mizera Yisrael, does that have to be kol zera, miktzat zera, or nizreu? That it has to be that they both, meaning even if they were both again and yoret, but they both converted. And therefore they both converted, and now they have pregnancy, and the pregnancy is when they're both Jewish, mutar lekeuna. That is the shita of Rabbi Yosef, the exact opposite shita. Okay? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai savar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, right, he holds, mishen izru betuleha b'Yisrael. It has to be that the betulim were nikva k'shi Yisrael, which means that she converted with less than 3 years old and 1 day, because that's when the betulim is nikvat, that she's still a betula. If she converted with 3 years and less than 1 day, she's nikvat, that she's still a betula. So Elmaleh Rava Nachman Rava says Rav Nachman to Rava, Ayin Chetamu Bet 78b. Haikra, this pasuk, right, where it says Reisha beKohen Gadol, the Seifa beKohen Ediot. So the Reisha, the beginning of the pasuk, is talking about a Kohen Gadol. When it says Amara Grusha lo yichu lahem lenashim, kim betulat nizera bet Yisrael, and the Seifa is talking about a Kohen Ediot, right? So what's going on exactly, right? So when you're talking about now that we're talking about a Kohen Gadol and a Kohen Ediot, Elmaleh comes and he tells you, yes. The Katav Krai Hachi. But the Pasuk is actually coming and teaching like this. Elmaleh comes and he says, yes, Tichtiv, which says in Pasuk, V'ner Elohim terem yichbeh. The Ner Elohim, which is basically the menorah in the Mishkan, before it goes out, terem yichbeh. U'Shmuel shochev be'echal Hashem. Shmuel is lying down over there. So he says, 1 second, how could it be? V'alo en yeshiva ba'azara. How's he lying down in the Azara? It's only for the Melchei Bet David bilvad. How is Shmuel Hanavi lying down over there? Ela ner Elohim terem yichbeh be'echal Hashem u'Shmuel shochev b'mkomo, which means that he's in his place in the Bet HaMishmar of the Leviim, that they were shomrim at the Mishkan. Now, even though it says u'Shmuel shochev be'echal Hashem, right? It looks like it's in the same place. Really, be'emet, no, be'echal Hashem is not on Shmuel; it's on ner Elohim. So you have to read it. The ner Elohim terem yichbeh be'echal Hashem, and Shmuel shochev is in his place. Okay, that's how you have to do it. So it comes out that sometimes the pasuk is going to be over on a noseh without saying it mefurash, meaning it didn't say mefurash that Shmuel was shochev bimkomo, but it just said it like that. It just said it derech. So Zuadin, we're going to say that the pasuk in Yecheskel, which is talking about a Kohen Gadol, and at the end it's talking about a Kohen Ediot, even though the pasuk didn't differentiate, but that's what I'm going to say. Okay, that's what I'm going to say. So the pasuk, so he says like this: "V'almana shetiyeh almana mikohen yichu, mikohenim im Yisrael." So therefore, the almana, which is going to be for an almana to a kohen, she could take. It is muteret to a kohen, but which kohen? A kohen idiot, but not a kohen gadol. So hachi kamar. This is what it means to say almana mikohen yichu mishara kohenim yichu, which means that an almana could be the other kohenim, but not a kohen gadol. The Tanya Mihachi, we also learned this in a Braita. What does it mean mikohen yichu? That means even though the pasuk was talking about a Kohen Gadol, right? It's not really talking. It switched over to a Kohen Ediot, even though it didn't say mefurash. Just like the pasuk by Shemuel. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda says, "Mina masim lekiuna yichu." When it says almana mikohen yichu, it means from the ones that could give their daughters to kiuna, then he could take the kohen. Which means that if you could marry to the daughter, right, and that's why we always say kol shebito psula lekiuna, the almana is also psula to the kiuna. Right, that was a general rule that we said. Meaning, if the daughter is psula to the kiuna, the almana is psula to the kiuna as well, because that means obviously there was a psul over there. Rabbi Yehuda goes according to his reasoning. The Amar, because he says, "Bat ger zachar k'bat chalal zachar, kol shata noseh bito, ata noseh almanato, kol shata noseh bito, ata noseh almanato." Nekuda. Okay, 2 dots. Rabbi Yosef. Now we're going to Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says even a ger that gets married to a gioret is going to be kshera to the kehuna. Says Amar Rav Mununa Mishmedehula, says Rav Mununa halacha is like Rabbi Yosef. לכן אמרנו חנה הלכה זה כרבי יוסף מיום שהחלה בית המקדש ונהגו קונים סלסול בעצמן כרבי אליעזר בן יעקב. Meaning that even though the halacha is like Rabbi Yosef, which means even if you have a ger and a giora that they both convert, and then they have a child, the child is kshera lekiuna, he says, but the Kohanim, they started being on a higher level, that they started doing like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, which means that they wanted to do like that it's going to be pasul to the kiuna. Okay, the ger shenasa gioret. Okay, so Amram Nachman Amar Yehuna Habali Malech. If somebody comes to ask, Morim lo Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. But if you already got married, So this is actually very interesting. That means it comes out that at the beginning we were saying the halacha was like Rabbi Yosef. That means even if you have a get and gioret, they both convert. They have a child, kashera l'kiuna. Then we come and we say, but the kohanim were noagim like Rabbi Eliezer and Yaakov, which means that one of them has to be a kosher parent, whether it's going to be the mother or the father, but one of them has to be Jewish from the beginning. Now says the Gemara, if somebody asks us, we're going to paskin like Rabbi Eliezer and Yaakov. But if somebody already got married, so then you let it go like Rabbi Yosef, that it's going to be okay. Okay? Fine. Mishnah. The Mishnah and Chet halfway down. Says the Mishnah, Haomer b'ni ze mamzer. Imagine a person comes and he says that this child is a mamzer. It's his son, and he's a mamzer. Eno ne'eman. He's not ne'eman. Why? Because he's karov etzel beno, and therefore he's not going to be believed to testify about him. Va'afilu shnehem modim. And even if the husband and the wife are going to be modim, ala ubar sheb'me'ah me'ah, on the child that's in her stomach, that it's a mamzeru, enam ne'emanim. They're not believed. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, ne'emanim, they are believed. Of course they're believed. The father is believed in both of the cases, meaning a father is believed to say that the child is a mamzer. So it's a machlok between Rabbi Yehuda and Tanakama. Says the Gemara, what does it mean afilu shneim modim? What does that mean? Even both of them. So says the Gemara, lo mi baye kama. What does that mean? We didn't even need to bring it down. Lo mi baye ihu te lo kimle. I would have said, listen, the truth is, who really knows better if the child's a mamzer? Who knows more? The father or the mother? The mother knows much more than the father, right? Unless we're talking about an extreme case that the father wasn't with the mother for the past 10 months, 12 months, and all of a sudden she's pregnant, then you're right. Then he also knows. You know what I'm saying? But saying who's going to know more, right? Right? Who's going to know more, right? So obviously the mother. So he says, Elafilu ihi, even she, the kimla, that she obviously knows much more whether her child's a mamzer or not. Lo mehemna, she's not going to be believed, right? And not only we're talking about in a case where the chazakah kashut, that they're not going to be believed, but rather even in ubar also, that there's no chazakah kashut, lo lehemni, we're not going to believe them, which means that not only if there's going to be a chazakah of kashut, right, we're not going to believe them, which means that over here we're trying to say that the child has a chazakah kashut. Once he already is born, he's got a chazakah kashut. No, even if he's still in ubar, but there's no chazakah kashut yet, he's not born yet, still we're not going to believe them. Next, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ne'emanim. Rabbi Yehuda argues on the Mishnah. I said, no, they are going to be believed. He says, Kiletanya, as we learned to the Braita, Yakir. What does it mean Yakir? Yakirenu la'acherim. It means he could be makir to other people. Mikanat Amar, from here it says Rabbi Yehuda, ne'eman adam lomar ze beni bechor. From here a person is believed to say, this is my child the bechor. Just like a person is believed to say, Ze beni bechor, kach le'eman adam lomar ze ben gusha b'chalutza. He could say that his child is a ben gusha b'chalutza, and therefore he's going to be a halal. Chachamim can say, no, ben gusha b'chalutza is not going to be believed. Chachamim do agree to Rabbi Yehuda to do the bechor. So to do the bechor, Chachamim agreed to Rabbi Yehuda, yakirenu la'acherim. He's allowed to say, this is my son and this is a bechor. He's allowed to do that. But to do the ben gusha b'chalutza, he's not going to believe it. So Amaleh Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak leRava, said Nachman bar Yitzchak to Rava, Bishlema, I understand according to Rabbi Yehuda, Hainu dichtiv yakir. This is what's called yakir. But according to Rabbanan, yakir lamali. Yeah, according to Rabbanan, yakir, why do I need this? Why do I need this exactly? So he says, Betzarich hekeda. You know why? Because it needs a ker. What does it mean heked? He comes and he says, at the end of the day, you need that there should be a hekerut. You need that there should be some type of a recognizing, of understanding. So what does that mean? Lezahot ben adam, right? To give the indication, to, I don't know what you want to call it exactly, to vouch who is the person. Okay, to give the identity. That's the word. So lemay hilchata, right? So what is the halacha? Tatelu pishnai, to give him double portion. So says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me that he's going to be believed to say that his son is a bechor, to give him double portion, pshita obviously, lama likra, what honey the pasuk, migu dibai mitvele, right? Matana lo yehivle. So one second. If you're going to tell me now that you're not going to believe him, so don't believe him. You know what he could do? The father, 5 minutes before he passes away, right? The father could come, and what's he going to do? He's going to say, you know what? How do you call this? I give you a present, and he gives him everything. So obviously, so believe it and say that he's a bechor, therefore he gets double portion. So says the Gemara, no, we're talking about nechasim that came afterwards, which means to the reshut of the father in the Yerusha after he was makir et bechoro. So therefore, since it's after he was makir et bechoro, A person cannot be makneh davar shelo ba'olam. He cannot acquire something to somebody that still didn't come into the world, and still he's going to be believed. According to Rabbi, he says, he's gosses. The father is a gosses. And now all of a sudden, the Bechor, gosses means that he's on his deathbed. He's mamash, he's almost gone. And still the Bechor will take double portion on that. Why? Because even though right now it came in a position that the father can't do anything anymore. He can't give it to him as a present. He's already dying. He's already mamash gone, basically. Usually gosses is like mamash, like unconscious, basically at the last moments of life. Basically, right? But still, that's what we're saying. That's why you have Yakid. That Yakid is going to teach you. You're going to be believed. Says the Mishnah. We're just going to start the Mishnah. Somebody that gives the reshut to a shliach to be Mikadesh's daughter. Halachu v'kicha. He went and he got her married. Im shelo. Right? Sorry. And then halachu v'kicha. So now one more time. This guy comes. He's a father. He tells the shliach, "Get my daughter married." And then he himself goes and he also gets her married. So im shelo kadmu kiddushav kiddushin. If the kiddushin of the father came before the kiddushin of the shaliach, so then kiddushin of the father is a kiddushin. But if shlucho kadama, if the shliach got her married first, kiddushin, so then the shliach's kiddushin is a kiddushin. Let's say we don't know who won. We don't know which one got there first. Right? I intend to from the top. Shnehem notin get. Both of them have to give a get. If one wants, so no, one of them gives a get, another one just gets married to her.
Both of them give at the same time?
What do you mean they both give at the same time?
The both of them.
Yeah, that means we don't know. We don't know. They both. What time did you give her the kiddushin? 9:15. Both 9:15. Well, both at the exact same time. Around, I don't know. Around 9:15. The other one, what time? Around 9:15. You don't know. So one of them, both have to give a get, or one gives a get and one gets married. One or the other. The same exact halacha applies to the woman. She gives a reshut to a shliach to get married, and then she went and she got herself married off. If hers came before her shliach, so then her kiddushin was kiddushin. If the shliach came before hers, so then the shliach says before. And if nobody knows, that means they don't know which one came first. Both of them have to give her a get. And if one of them wants, one gives her a get and one gets married.